Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into something vital for everyone, staying safe online, but without needing a degree in computer science.
Exactly. We looked at a really insightful recording from the Computer Safety Podcast.
And our aim here is to pull out the most practical, actionable steps you can take, like right now, to beef up your digital security.
And it's crucial to get this. This isn't just for tech folks. If you use the internet, and who doesn't, you're potentially a target, even, as a quote-unquote regular user.
That's a key point from the source material. They stressed how hackers often cast, well, a really wide net. It's not always personal, initially.
It's about volume. They look for easy openings, send out mass phishing emails, scrape data. It's a numbers game targeting lots of everyday people.
So our mission for this deep dive: extract the core, easy-to-use safety advice from those experts, specifically for you, the listener. Okay, so where do people usually go wrong first? What's the biggest oversight?
Yeah, the podcast episode we reviewed, it really hammered home one main thing. This assumption that, oh, I'm not important enough to be hacked.
Right. Why would they target little old me? I think a lot of people feel that way.
Totally. But that thinking is, well, incredibly dangerous
Why is that? Why is it so risky?
because it leads to complacency. If you think you're not a target, you won't bother with the basics, will you?
Like passwords.
Like using password 123 or clicking dubious links or hopping onto any free Wi-Fi without thinking. It makes you an easy mark.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So if we should be alert, what are the signs? How do you even know if you've been compromised? What should you look out for?
Well, the podcast laid out a few things. Some are pretty obvious, thankfully,
Like what?
like loads of random pop-ups suddenly appearing or your device just slowing down to a crawl. Hard to miss those.
Yeah, you definitely noticed that. But what about the sneakier stuff? The things you might brush off?
Okay, so be alert for things like login attempt warnings for accounts you didn't try to access. That email saying someone tried to log into your account from,
Right, I get that sometimes.
or finding emails in your sent folder that you absolutely did not write. That's a big red flag.
Oof, yeah. That's definitely unnerving. Okay, so let's imagine the worst happens. You suspect you're hacked. What's step one? Like the very first thing?
Disconnect immediately. Get that device off the internet, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, whatever. Just cut the connection.
Pull the plug, essentially. Stops them doing more damage, right?
Exactly. It can prevent them digging deeper or sending more of your data out.
Okay, disconnected. Then what? The techie part.
Then yes, run a full virus scan. Make sure your antivirus software is completely up to date first, though. That's key.
To catch any malware they might have installed.
Precisely. But even after the scan, you're not quite done. There's a crucial follow-up.
Oh, fizz.
Change your passwords. All of them. Start with the most important ones: email, online banking. Those are critical.
Keys to the kingdom.
Pretty much. And the podcast really stressed acting fast. Don't ignore warning signs. Time is absolutely critical in containing a breach.
Right. Okay, let's pivot to passwords themselves. We all know we need good ones. But are people actually doing it still?
Sadly, no, not really.
huh.
The podcast was pretty blunt. Things like 1234556 or just the word password, still shockingly common, even now.
Wow, it's like leaving your front door wide open.
It really is. And it's not just about one weak password, is it? It's the reuse that's the killer.
Ah, using the same one everywhere.
Exactly. If one site gets breached, and sites get breached all the time, and you've used that same password elsewhere,
Then bang, they can try that password on your email, your bank, everything.
instantly. It's like having one key for your house, your car, your office, everything. Very risky.
So what's the fix? The podcast recommended a specific tool, I think.
Yes, a password manager.
Huh.
They strongly recommended using one. These tools create and store really complex, unique passwords for every site.
You don't have to remember dozens of crazy passwords.
Right. You just need one strong master password for the manager itself. It takes the headache out of it, but seriously ramps up your security.
Okay, so password manager for unique, strong passwords. Got it. What about two-factor authentication? 2FA. Worth the hassle.
Oh, absolutely. Essential, really. The podcast explained it well. Even if someone does get your password, 2FA is that second check.
Like the code sent to your phone.
Exactly. A code to your phone or email or an authenticator app. It means the password alone isn't enough to get in.
So even with my password, they're stuck.
Pretty much. The analogy they used was great. It's like adding a deadbolt to your door lock. Someone might pick the basic lock.
But the deadbolt stops them. Makes sense. So it's not just optional, it's necessary for important accounts.
Definitely. Highly necessary.
Okay, let's talk about being out and about. Public Wi-Fi, coffee shops, airports. How risky is it really?
It can be very risky. The podcast compared it to like whispering your secrets in a crowded room if the network isn't secured properly.
Anyone could be listening in.
Potentially, yes. Malicious actors on the same network could try to intercept your traffic, see what sites you're visiting, maybe even grab data you send.
Yikes. Okay, so how do we protect ourselves then? Just avoid public Wi-Fi altogether?
Well, that's one option. But the better solution, recommended on the podcast, is using a VPN, a virtual private network.
Right, VPN. How does that help?
It creates a secure, encrypted tunnel for your internet traffic. So even if you're on that public Wi-Fi, anyone snooping would just see scrambled data, not your actual activity.
So VPN encrypts everything on public networks. Good tip. Let's switch to email the inbox nightmare. How do we get better at spotting scam emails? They seem to get more clever.
They do. But there are still red flags. The podcast highlighted a few key ones. Look out for really bad grammar or spelling, often a giveaway.
Okay, poor writing. What else?
Be very suspicious of anything creating false urgency or threats. Your account is locked, click here, NALW, or suspicious activity detected, verify immediately. Classic scam tactics.
Trying to panic you into clicking.
Exactly. Don't fall for it. Also, always check the sender's actual email address. Hover over the name to see it. Does it look legit? Or is it slightly off, maybe misspelled, or from a weird domain?
Good point. Sometimes it looks close but isn't quite right.
And hover your mouse over any links before clicking. Don't just trust the text. See where it really goes. The actual URL might be totally different and malicious.
Ah, the hover trick.
Crucial. And ultimately, if you have any doubt, just delete it. Don't click. It's never worth the risk.
Better safe than sorry. Makes sense. What about websites themselves? We click a link, we land somewhere. How do we know if the site is safe?
Look for the padlock icon in the address bar, right next to the web
The
address.
little lock symbol, yeah.
And check that the address starts with HTTPS. That S row means secure. If it's just HTTP without the S or the padlock is missing or broken, be wary, especially if you're entering any info.
So no padlock, no as major warning sign.
Absolutely. Also, just trust your gut. Does the site look weird? Outdated design? Too many aggressive pop-ups? Offers that seem way too good to be true?
If it feels sketchy, it probably is sketchy.
Pretty much. Don't ignore that feeling.
Okay, let's talk browsers. Chrome, Firefox, etc. Is there anything we should be doing regularly, like maintenance, for security?
Yeah, browser hygiene, as the podcast called it. Clearing your browsing history and cookies regularly is good practice for privacy.
Cookies are the things that track you, right?
They can, yes. They store bits of data from websites. Clearing them reduces that tracking footprint. It can also log you out of sites, mind you, but it boosts privacy.
Okay, clear cookies and history. What about browser extensions, those little add-ons?
Definitely review those periodically. Go through your installed extensions. Do you recognize them all? Do you still use them?
And if not,
Get rid of them. Uninstall anything unnecessary or unfamiliar. Some extensions can be harmless, but others might track you or even contain malware. Keep it lean.
good advice. Okay, what about incognito mode or private browsing? Is that like a magic invisibility cloak?
Huh. No, not quite. The podcast was clear on this. Incognito mode primarily stops your browser from saving your history, cookies, and form data on that specific device.
So someone else using my computer won't see where I went.
Right. Local privacy. But it does not make you anonymous online. Your internet service provider can still see your activity. If you're at work or school, their network admins can see it. And the websites you visit, they still know you're there.
So it's not for true privacy from, say, your ISP or the websites themselves?
No, it has its uses, like logging into another account on a site without logging out of your main one, or maybe price comparison shopping, but it's not a privacy shield. Don't overestimate it.
Understood. Okay, shifting gears to social media. We share so much, sometimes without thinking. What kind of sharing is actually risky?
Well, the podcast mentioned things like constantly tagging your exact location. That tells people where you are in real time.
Right. Maybe not great.
Sharing your full date of birth publicly. There's often a security question answer or part of identity theft. Even posting lots of pictures of, say, the front of your house consistently. It all builds a profile.
Little pieces that add up, so be mindful of what details you're putting out there.
Especially if your profile is public. Which leads to the next point.
Privacy settings.
Yes. Set your profiles to private. That's the big one. Limit who sees your stuff primarily to people you actually know and trust.
And review your friends list occasionally.
Definitely. Curate it. Do you really know all 2,000 of those friends? Maybe trim it down to people you actually interact with or trust. Quality over quantity.
Makes sense. Now, what about those fun-looking quizzes on social media? What's your Star Wars name? Based on your pet's name and birth month, that kind of thing.
Ah, yes. The podcast specifically warned about those. They seem harmless, right?
Totally. Just a bit of fun.
But think about the questions they ask. What was your first pet's name? What street did you grow up on? What was your first car?
There. Those sound exactly like common security questions for password resets.
Bingo. They're often thinly veiled attempts to gather those exact pieces of data. By answering that fun quiz, you might be handing over the keys to resetting your passwords elsewhere.
Wow. Okay, that's sneaky. So best to just avoid those entirely.
Pretty much. Just scroll past them.
Good to know. Okay, let's talk about kids online. A huge concern for parents. What are the core strategies for keeping them safe?
The podcast covered several key areas. Using parental control tools is important, filtering content, maybe setting time limits.
Technology solutions.
Right. But just as important, maybe more so, is education and communication. Talk to them early and often, age appropriately, about online risks.
Like what's okay to share, what's not, how to spot scams.
Exactly. And building trust is vital. Kids need to feel safe coming to you if they see something weird or scary online. Without fearing, they'll just get grounded or lose their device.
So if open communication is key, don't make them afraid to report problems.
Precisely. That open dialogue is probably the most powerful tool.
Okay. Now, our homes are getting smarter. Maybe too smart. What about all these internet-connected gadgets? Smart speakers, cameras, thermostats, risks there.
Oh, definitely. The podcast highlighted the privacy risks. These devices often listen, watch, and collect data about your habits.
And the security aspect.
A big one is default passwords. Many smart devices come with easy-to-guess defaults, like admin or password. You must change those immediately to something strong and unique.
Rule number 1 for smart devices.
Absolutely. Also, keep their firmware updated. Those updates often contain critical security patches.
Like updating your computer's OS.
Same principle. And think carefully about where you put them. Do you really need a smart speaker or camera in a bedroom or bathroom? Maybe not.
Good point about placement. And just the sheer number of them, does each one add risk?
It does. Every connected device is another potential way into your home network. The podcast called it expanding your attack surface.
More doors for hackers to potentially try and open.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So be mindful. Do you really need that smart toaster? Maybe stick to the essential smart devices and make sure those are secured properly. Don't just connect everything for the sake of it.
Right. Convenience versus risk. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. This has been super helpful. If we had to boil it all down based on the podcast's insights, what are the absolute top 3 safety habits everyone should adopt? Like, right now.
Okay, top 3. First, strong, unique passwords for every account. Use a password manager to make this manageable.
1, unique passwords, use a manager.
Got it. Second, be incredibly cautious about clicking links or opening attachments, especially in unexpected emails or messages. Think before you click. Always.
2, be skeptical of links and attachments. Don't click impulsively.
And third, keep your software updated. Your operating system, Windows, macOS, your web browser, your apps, enable automatic updates if you can. Those patches fix security holes.
3, keep everything updated. OS, browser, apps. Okay?
Those 3 things alone make a massive difference. The podcast compared it to locking your doors at night.
Simple habits, big protection.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be complicated, just consistent.
Fantastic. So just to quickly recap the journey, we hit on not underestimating your risk, spotting hacks, immediate steps if breached, the password nightmare in managers, the necessity of 2FA, public Wi-Fi dangers and VPNs, spotting email and website scams, browser hygiene, what incognito really does, social media oversharing, and those sneaky quizzes, protecting kids, securing smart homes, and finally, those top 3 core habits.
And the key takeaway, none of this requires you to be a tech wizard. These are practical things anyone can do.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you, the listener, to think about. What's the one habit you'll change starting today? And looking back, what vulnerability might you have been overlooking until now? Worth a moment's thought, isn't it?
Definitely. And if any particular topic really jumped out at you, maybe password managers or social media settings or smart home security, consider digging a bit deeper. There's lots more great information out there once you know what to look for. Stay safe online.